Today we're going to be talking about the order of operations and evaluating expressions. And so we have PEMDAS down the side, and see if you can recall the memory trick that goes along with how to remember the order. What is the phrase that goes with it? And it starts with the word please. And the phrase is, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." And so most of you have probably heard this before, and there's other ways to remember it. There's other memory tricks. But this is the one that I'm most familiar with. I'm excited to hear about yours. But even though I remember the "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," what do they actually stand for? P is please. What is the operation? It is parentheses. And their symbol or notation that you would use is thus. And to go along with that, we have an example problem down here on the end. And we're going to go through and solve this as we go through the order of operations. And so first we're going to worry about the parentheses. So we are going to do whatever is inside of parentheses. 2 plus 8, which is 10. So we're going to be left with 10 squared minus 3 times 4. E, excuse, and that stands for exponents. Exponents are, if you have a variable, it is the number that it is raised to. So it is this buddy up here. And so our exponent is our 2. So we are going to square 10. 10 squared is 100. No more exponents, so we can copy the rest. Next is M. M stands for multiplication. Multiplication, we know, is all at times. There's other symbols too. And so we are going to multiply 3 times 4. 100 minus 3 times 4, which is 12. Going along with multiplication is division. Division looks like that. We have no division, so we're not going to do anything. It's not applicable. And remember, these M and D, multiplication and division, are interchangeable. Likewise, A and S are interchangeable, and I'm assuming you know what they stand for. A, ant, or addition, which is plus. There is no addition, so we don't have to worry about it. And S is subtraction, which is just a minus sign. And we do have subtraction, and 100 minus 12 is 88, which would be our final answer. So not only do we have "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," but we learned that M and D, those are interchangeable because they are essentially the same operation. A and S is also interchangeable. And most importantly, we always work left to right through a problem if we have 2 multiplication or 2 addition, or if we had addition and subtraction. You always go left to right. At the top of the page, we have our first definition. So we need to define what it means to simplify. And to simplify, it is to put in simplest form. And so that kind of sounds redundant, but we need to worry about simplifying when using order of operations in algebra, and that's when it becomes very apparent that it's important. So my question is, looking at our examples over on the side, can you figure out why it's essential to simplify when working with algebraic expressions specifically? Go ahead and write down what you think. Moving on, we have our first examples. And remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Always remember that. So, in our first we have 2 plus 3 times 5. There are no parentheses, exponents, but there is multiplication, so that's where we're going to start. And so I want to make sure I see your steps through your thinking. And so on your assignment, I expect you to write out every step, at least for the beginning. So if we're going to do 3 times 5, we have 15. We don't change anything else. I'm going to just copy 2 and plus. Only one step left. 2 plus 15 is 17. Our next example, 6 plus 4 divided by 2 plus 3. So no parentheses, exponents, no multiplication, but we do have division. So we're going to start there. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And copy the rest. So we have 6 plus 2 plus 3. The rest is addition. And remember, we go left to right. So first we care about 6 plus 2, which is 8. Copy that plus 3. And then we'll do 8 plus 3, which gives us 11. And example number 3. We start by asking parentheses. Yes, we do. So 9 plus 3 is 12, and copy the rest. 3 times 2 cubed minus 12 divided by 3. So we took care of our parentheses. Next, do we have exponents? And yes, we do. So we have 3 times 8 minus 12 divided by 3. Any multiplication? Yes. 3 times 8 is 24 minus 12 divided by 3. Next is division. 24 minus 4. So we did division. There is no addition. And we have subtraction for our final step, which gives us 20. Continuing on, we have more examples. But first I'm going to stop because we have a bonus vocab word. If you look at this highlighted area, we have 12 parentheses 7 minus 5. And so we can simplify and solve this. However, if we chose to instead multiply it out, like so, what is that vocab called? It's going to come in handy when we have variables later. And so remember, that is the distributive property. It's essential to know how the distributive property works. If you are still a little confused or unsure about what that is or how to solve something using it, come talk to me or email me. Anyways, if we were going to solve, remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So first, deal with our parentheses. So I'm going to have 12, 7 minus 5 is 2, all over, there's no parentheses, 6 plus 2 times 3. No exponents. I do see multiplication on top and bottom. 12 times 2 is 24, all over 6 plus 2 times 3, which is 6. And so our question is, do we do division or addition next? And this is where it gets tricky. If it would be written as 24 divided by 6 plus 6, you would do division. However, because it is written as a fraction, you kind of imagine that you have parentheses around the numerator and the denominator. And so you're going to simplify the top, which we've already done. It's just 24. And then you're going to simplify your bottom. 6 plus 6 is 12. And then you're going to simplify your fraction. And 24 over 12, or 24 twelfths, is just 2. So that's where it's really important to pay attention. Is it a fraction or is it dividing? And our final example, place grouping symbols, not quite sure what that means, in the following expression so that it will have the stated value. First, let's talk about what are grouping symbols. Grouping symbols are simply parentheses. It's just a fancier word for them. So essentially, you need to place parentheses in our following expression so that it will have the stated value, or so that it will make it true. And see if you can go ahead and solve that on your own. Right there, let's double check. 12 divided by 2 plus 3, does it equal 9? Division first. 6 plus 3 equals 9. Yes, it does. The easiest way, if you're not quite sure, guess and check. We have another vocabulary word here, and it is evaluate. And so our thing was order of operations, and we're also going to evaluate expressions. But what does it mean to evaluate? It is simply to calculate the value of. And so, in our first example, we have the expression. Expressions, remember, have no equal sign. Unlike an equation. But we have the expression 3 times the quantity s minus t squared. Then off to the side it tells us that s equals 4 and t equals 1. And so what that means is wherever we see s, we put 4, and wherever we see t, we put 1. It should be a blue line. So we have 3 times s, which is 4, minus t, which is a 1, parentheses squared. And then you remember order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And so we're going to have 3, 4 minus 1 is 3 squared. Next we do our exponents. 3 times 9, which gives us simply 27. Next we have our expression. We have g equals 5 and h equals 7. So we have 3 times g, which is 5, plus 6 all over h, which is 7. So that's going to give us 3 times 5, which is 15, plus 6 all over 7. And here we have another issue. Do we add or divide next? And remember, when it's a fraction, think of it as the denominator is grouped and the numerator is grouped. So 5 plus 6 is 21 over 7, and 21 sevenths, or 21 divided by 7, is just 3. And last but not least, there's a real world problem. And so what we're going to do is I want you to try this on your own. However, your answers for A, find the amount of interest, you should end up with $3,193.25. Your answer for part B of the total amount should be $15,193.25. And the rest I expect you to do on your own.